finance coach, a multi-billionaire. I'm saying this with all sense of humility. My friend and brother Amarachi Ugoji. Can we please put hands together as I invite him to attend this conference as he comes to speak to us for another till you tell him to stop. Can we celebrate you?
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. How many of you are excited to be here? All right. In all honesty, how many of you have gotten value? If you really have gotten value, something you can use when you leave here, please give a round of applause to everybody that have graced the stage before me, please. Awesome, awesome. The second thing I want to ask is, how many of you notice that they seem to be saying the same thing, but from different perspectives based on their own experiences? How many of you notice that? So what's your deduction from that? Right? Okay, good. This is what we're going to be doing. Most of us have been seated in one position for a long time, right? So I need to be sure that everybody's here before we get started. Please, can we all stand up? All right. Just shake it up a little bit, shake it up a little bit so that your blood can flow. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now, before you sit, I want you to do this with me very quickly, just 2 minutes. There are two people standing in front of this stage. One of them is me, Amarachi Ugoji. The other person is called Captain. Do you see Captain? No, but you can hear Captain, correct? So there are how many people here now? Two. One is who? Me. The other one is what? Captain. So I want you to obey the instruction of Captain. Is that good? So Captain says, sit down. Stand up. No, you're not here. I said stand up. Captain didn't say stand up. So we'll do this again. I need to be sure you're present. Hello. So you can listen to what I'm saying and you may not hear me. Listening is your bodily ability to hear sounds. Hearing is your ability to understand and interpret what I said. Once again, there are two people on this stage. One is me, Amarachi Ugoji. The other one is Captain. And I want you to listen to instruction of who? Captain. So Captain says, stand up. Captain says, sit down. All right, stand up. Okay. Most people are back now. Good to have all of you here. All right, so guys, help me with that video. So I want to draw something. I was writing when everybody was talking. How many of you were taking notes? How many of you were taking notes? Just keep your hand like this.
How do I know? They always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The question that you really should ask is, how do I know?
Be honest. How many of you took notes so that you teach somebody who did not attend today? How many of you know that the second one is powerful? When you make a commitment to do something for another person, what they told you yesterday in church will work. It says it's more blessed to give than to what? We hear that every Sunday somehow from Monday to Saturday we don't practice. That's the problem. There's a reason why if you plant a seed of corn, what do you get? A full cob, correct? But the one you planted will decay. Is that true? Just to make you to be sure that you did not participate in the multiplication, but you have a responsibility to give something and it will be multiplied. If you're writing these notes today for yourself, it wouldn't go far. But if you write because you want to teach another person and impact some other person's life, your note will be different even as you're sitting in one place. Are you with me? We're going to be talking about money and finance. I probably will differ in the way I will approach it. I do that because The only reason why most of us are having challenges with money is that it's the only subject everybody is interested in and nobody gets educated about it. Is that true? Every human being will improve by learning. It's only animals that improve by instinct. And yet the only subject all of us are interested in, nobody have dedicated any time for it. How many of you listened to him when he was talking? He has honed his capacity and talent over time, correct? And got into trainings, talked about real estate. How many of you paid attention? So for every level of improvement you want in your life, there has to be training. Without training, you're not going nowhere. The challenge we have now is that the things we behaved ourselves into, we're hoping to pray ourselves out of it. Will it work? Success in what you're doing now, you behaved yourself by consistency of learning, correct? Poverty, we also behaved ourselves into it by consistency of serious and discipline with money. Do you understand what I'm saying? How many of you have made money and lost it? All of us. Everything that have been said in a way that you will never forget it. Are you with me? So I want you to listen to that for about 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's, you know, it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm going to show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor. You know, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
Okay, here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
During menopause, estrogen drops and cortisol rises, causing an unwanted tummy fat. And running an hour a day or cutting calories super low is only going to make the tummy worse. Hey, my name is Dr. Jay Tita. I'm a physician and female hormone expert. Intense exercise or cutting calories for a menopause tummy does not work.
Participates. So the same person, the same song, 30 seconds away, one, nothing happened. The second one, he got applause. He got standing ovation. The same person, the same song, the same sitting position. The difference was 30 seconds. So it's not what happens outside that is a problem, it's what happens what? On the inside. So when he was talking, he said something very fundamental about a battle for space. And he also said something that everybody's space is available, but you have to take yours. And you can't take yours on the basis of what? You have to take yours on the basis of what? Your why. Does that make sense? Because there is a space for everybody. You need to get comfortable in your own scale, in your own skin. There are 8 billion people in the world and counting. There's nobody with your fingerprint. That's how unique you are. If you have that clarity in your mind, when you show up, everybody knows you show up. Unless you're not sure. Does that make sense? I want you to write this down, never forget it. The resources of the world respond to identity, not effort. Whether it's comedy, whether it's MC, whether it's money, I don't care. So what I want you to pick from everything everybody said is simple. Everybody said exactly the same thing. Did you notice? Huh? Did you notice? Yes. Because life works with laws. Once you understand those laws and those principles, you can duplicate it. Does that make sense? And it's as clear as gravity. It's as clear as what? How many of you here know gravity? If I jump up a 10-story building, what happens? Eh? Look, I need responses. I need to be sure you guys are here. What happened? If I'm a Christian, what happened? If I'm a Muslim, what happened? I don't even believe in anything. What happened? Is anything happen along the way, maybe from 10th floor, somewhere around the 5th floor, I enter? Is it possible? No. So life works based on laws. Everything you see is based on laws. And if you can distill them down to first principles, you can create your own result anytime. The fundamental thing you should be aware of is that the resources of this world will never respond to effort. It will respond to what? Your identity. Somebody said, it was Sacco that said they can shift an event because you are not available. Is that competence? Eh? No. Is that effort? It's because it's you. That cannot be taken away by nobody. Once you have an understanding of what I'm telling you now, you can duplicate it in every area of your life, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So in your current act, in your current talent, if you are in discipline with it, you will be in discipline with money, you will be in discipline with everything. It will go the same way. Are you with me? I want to share something with you, and I want you to write this down. I was making a lot of notes. The last thing I wrote here is that time is limited. You saw this story he shared, right? Remember the last story he shared about how many hours you sleep? Good. So the question becomes, how do you multiply the productive time you have within 24 hours, correct? Without that, you will not be a successful entertainer. Without that, you will not be a wealthy person. You will not create wealth. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you have 25 hours? Eh? So if you want to increase your talent to be more productive to you, both personally in fulfilling your purpose and also in making money, can you do MC job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month? No. So if that is your concept, it will not work. Correct? And when the speakers that preceded me here were talking, they made a fundamental note about creating a system. How many of you got that? How many of you got that? He created what? System. One of the speakers that spoke here today, he had 2 events, correct? but he's duly represented in one. How many of you know that the glory will go to him that did not show up? How many of you know? So you need to start building your own system, because you only have 24 hours and you can't get it anymore. The other thing I want to point out is this. He also works with money, and that will form the basis of where I will start. How many of you noticed that there was a total agreement in rebooking hustle? So you should check it in the dictionary. It's a bad word. I want you to write these 3 words down. Be, do, have. So B is the first one. Give a space, write D-O, and give a space, write. This is a process of manifestation in everything. Money inclusive, your talent inclusive, the result you have in your industry inclusive. So there's a reason why we're called human what? Human what? Being. We're not called human doing. And so if you are not in a state of alignment, in a state of purpose, in a state of why, and be comfortable in who you are, you cannot do. And when you don't have this background, you will do and you will not have. Does that make sense? Because life works by what? Laws, not what you think. Are you with me? So having is a process for those who have planted. Is that correct? Can I wish a harvest? Huh? No. And for most of the skill sets, if you do your research properly, you need to put in at least 10,000 hours before you become proficient in what you do. Have any of you here put in 10,000 hours in studying money? Huh? That's why you don't have it. Most of you here have put up to 10,000 hours in talking either as MC or as comedian, correct? That's why even if you're high, you will show up on the stage and talk normally. Correct? It has bore a groove in your subconscious, which is more powerful than anything you do consciously. So most of us have negative programming about money, and you will never become wealthy. I'm sorry to be harsh. A couple of things I will say may piss you off. But the idea is that when you get home today, you will think completely different and something will happen. Are you with me? If you heard the word money is hard to come by, raise your hand. Growing up, all of us are from the same family. How many of you heard when you ask for money, month end? Raise your hand. All of us are from the same family. How many of you heard money does not grow on trees? We are all from the same parents. How many of you heard all rich people go to hell? There's this idea that people who have money have done something bad. How many of you agree to that? And yet, churches are built with money. Now, I want to share some things with you, and it will add up to what everybody has said. Every time you hear money, how many of you think about this? When you hear money and you think about this, be honest, yesterday was Sunday. Say the truth. How many of you think about this? Good. How many of you have noticed that this, mostly in all the parts of the world, is pictures of dead people on piece of paper? Have you noticed? Huh? Do you want to make cash? Do you want to make money, or do you want to earn money? You didn't hear that? How many of you want to make money? Raise your hand, please. If you want to make money. If you want to earn money, raise your hand. Good. There are only one set of people who make money. They're called security and maintenance. They're in Abuja. They make money. Yes. The rest of us have to do what? Earn money. By reason of what we exchange. Correct? Which is why we call it that money is a means of what? Exchange. But how many of you know that you are in trouble if this is the only thing you want to exchange for? He shared a story with us of going for an event. Other people were shouting. He just showed up and he got paid more than those who were shouting. We're going to principles now. Was it this that he was chasing? Was it this that he was chasing? So most times people ask me, Amara, what do you do? I say I collect friends and I collect money. How many of you think I'm not a serious person now? Everything you want in this life, money inclusive, is in the hands of another human being. Correct? What's your system to take it? What do you have to exchange for this? Have you noticed that everybody looking for this don't have it? Eh? So this is not the problem. There are two people, they want to pay them for an event. One person is available, the other person is not available. They will not give who is available the money. They will shift the event when this person is available. Is this the problem? Huh? It's not. So I'll give you 3 things to focus if you want your finances to change. You might call me after 3 months to 9 months if you're serious. The way we fight for salvation is the way we should also fight for financial salvation. The only challenge all of us have is that they told us that education was more important than money. How many of you have found out that that's not true? Eh? They should have told us on time that money is as important as education, and we would have started chasing the two of them on time. Right now, we go all around the circle. Everybody comes back to looking for the same thing that they pretended is not available. Discussions about money in our household, how did it happen? They wait for you to sleep, correct? And they jam the door and go to the sitting room and talk about money. In the morning, if you ask of money, they say it doesn't grow on trees. So I want to give you 3 key things I want you to focus on. And if you do, there will be a fundamental shift in your finances. Very fundamental. Why did all of you show up here? Because the person who is putting this event together has credibility. Put your hands together for Mr. Sacco. Is that true? Is that true? Is credibility a means of exchange? I want you to think hard before you answer me. Is credibility a means of exchange? Between credibility and cash, which will you take? Credibility. But we'll always, every time, blow credibility for an urgent 2K. The 2K is usually urgent. Is that not true? Is that not true? So let me tell you why credibility is important and why is the basis for you to change your finances. When you want to apply for visa, what do they ask for? Huh? Bank statement. Are they looking at the amount on the bank statement, or are they looking at the interaction with different people? Huh? And they want it to be extended to 3 months, sometimes 6 months. They want to look at your credibility. It's more important than cash. Most of us here cannot get 200,000 naira loan from any bank. Is that true? But if Dangote wants 5 billion, is the money available? Is it available? So this is always in abundance. The question is, do you have what it takes to exchange it? It's never in short supply. We suffered Corona for almost a year plus, and Elon Musk got 100 billion on top of his wealth. Is this thing scarce? It's called currency. There's a reason it moves from one person to the other based on what you have to exchange for it. So when I tell you I'm in the business of collecting friends and collecting money, is that I meet people because I cannot build credibility out of people. So that's why I need people. Does that make sense? And I build my credibility deliberately. Does that make sense? So what's the key thing if you want to change your finance starting today? The first is what? The second is character. There has to be consistency of your behavior. How many of you know that character is more important than money? Huh? Character is more important than money? But we'll still mess up our character because of urgent 2K. I need you to change your focus. We will talk about money, cash, but I need you to change your focus a bit to build the foundation. So the third thing I want you to focus on is your relationships. And I want you to remember this. Today is 18th, correct? Correct? I think this is easy. I want you to remember this. If you find a way to use these three things deliberately, in the next 6 months, it will show up in your bank balance. If it doesn't, call me and we can review your activity for the 6 months and we'll know whether you took action or not. The first is what? The second is what? The third is what? If you have these three things, I don't care the level of competence that you have, you will print cash. Is these three things that will make them cancel an event for somebody else? Is these three things that create the identity you have? Somebody calls him and said, you have to anchor this book launch. The date is not convenient for you, no problem, we will change the date. Is he the only person who can anchor it? No. He has something this can't get. And so this has to wait for him to show up to take it anyway. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I put this in perspective. 2 quick examples. If I show up and I want a 570 LX, and I go to a Lizard and they sell it for 80 million, and I have 70 million, would they give me? So for the first time, 70 million, as big as it is, can be insignificant for what you want to do as far as cash is concerned. Is that true? I have a very good friend. Most people who are close to me know my friend. His name is Aliko Dangote. I've not met him, but I studied him more than I went to university for 5 years. Because he represents success in this chaos. There's something he knows that the rest of us are clueless. Please, don't get emotional about it. Understand what it is he's doing to help you. The mistake we've made is we've associated emotion with it and say government is supporting him. How many of you believe government is supporting him? Now let me make it clear. If you know where Government House of Lagos State is, raise your hand. If you know where Asorok is, raise your hand. You've not been called because you can't bring value of a commiserate measure. Sorry to be blunt. No matter how tight the table is, if you bring value, they will add wood and give you chair. That's the way it works. So Dangote focused on what all of us ignored, which was 200 million people. Let's break his business down. How many of you know he's not an engineer? He has one skill set. It's called leadership. Gather people, give them an objective, and provide support for them to achieve it, and you go to the next. Have you not noticed? So what did he do? He served 200 million people. Value. Indomie, sugar, salt. How many people have you served? What's the size of your organization that you're giving value to? Naira is existing because of a group of people called Nigerians, correct? Dollar exists because of a group of people called US, correct? Euro because of a group of people called Eurozone, correct? There's a direct relationship between the quality of your network and the content of your economy, cash, whatever you want to call it. So what value are you exchanging? By the time he did that for almost 30 years in obscurity, he controls 25% of the Nigerian economy. Are you aware? If they make you a president and you sit there today, and you call 3 people, one of them must be Dangote. He wouldn't call you. He doesn't need to. If he travels with the 25% of your economy, your presidency is almost gone. So once you understand, when you hear Dangote, for example, what comes to your mind? Success in Africa. What's your identity in your industry? That somebody should pay you 1.3 million. You think you just show up and say, give me 1.3 million? Who the hell are you? Do you understand what I'm saying? So we look at these things and we don't analyze it, and people get emotional and miss the lesson. If Dangote calls a Lizard that his friend Amarachi is coming for a 570 LX, how many of you know I will drive the car out? How many of you know that when I go back, that nobody will have the guts to ask me for my 70 million? How many of you know? How many of you know they'll call me sir? With escort. If I sigh, I'll get another sir. Anything I do, everybody's on the edge. What changed? Was it this? You're chasing the wrong thing. Somebody who had credibility made a call on behalf of his friend because I've demonstrated consistency of character in that relationship, and I had an 80 million naira value, no questions asked. Hello? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So that sounds a little bit off, so I want to calm down. The two things that are key to your relationships. If I'm your friend, in the area of the things I do, if they tell you to call 2 persons, you call me. For most people, if they tell you to call 1 person, you have to call me. So it's full-time work. I'm here now. Can I be anywhere else? Eh? No. I got where I got today because I have multiple people who can be somewhere and say yes on my behalf. That's how I multiply time frame. So I get to be involved in things I'm not supposed to be involved because somebody said, hey, put on something will happen. Does that make sense? But you're here now, you can't be somewhere else. How do you leverage your relationships to increase your productivity? Becomes a question. And it's only from the value you have in those relationships. Cash has never been anybody's problem. So if I come here today and tell you money, 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 you wouldn't go anywhere. If you don't get these fundamentals, everything is missing. 2 things you need to look at in your relationship. One is the credibility you have in the relationship. The second is the value that gives the self-worth in that relationship. How many of you have called somebody and asked for money? Raise your hand. Just be honest. And you ask for 100,000 that you pay back next month. The person says, I don't have 100,000, but I'll give you 30. Don't worry about paying back. Does it mean that they don't have 100,000? No. You don't have credibility to pay back 100,000. And they know. But they value the relationship enough to give you 30,000. This is not the problem. How many of you have called somebody and asked for 200,000 and the guy said, bros, I no get. But let me call Sacco and borrow and give you. Does that person have 200,000? Do they have 100,000? But they are willing to borrow on your behalf. Does that make sense? There's something about that relationship that you don't have in the first one. It's never about this. Please. Do you get my point now? When you get these fundamentals right, then we can have a roadmap and say, okay, do this, don't do this, don't do that. Most of you here are in an industry that requires your physical presence. Is that true? Number 1, that's a good thing. Number 2, that's also a bad thing. We talked about people who are in the rave of the moment. During rave of the moment, do they make money? Eh? And sometimes they lose the rave, correct? So what happens when they make money in a rave? They increase their expenses. How many of you notice? They buy Jeep, and then they look for Gen 2K to buy fuel. Does that make sense? So when you're in a rave, for example, and you make all the money in the world, what do you do with that money? Buys you freedom. He's actively generating money. Is that true? I'm using examples that were here and share their personal story. Is he consulting? Eh? Is he consulting? Far away from the industry? True? Because one talent can have multiple outflows. That's only when you talk about multiple streams of income. And never subsume yourself in saying, I'm an MC, I'm a comedian. Some of those consulting jobs, are they the ones that are paying you way more than the one you stand up to do? Eh? Did you hear him? Did you hear him? If you want to create result in anything, find people who have created the result. It's a legal shortcut. Is he investing in real estate? Is he investing in real estate? So one talent building a community, but through that community is building different systems that allow him to make way more money than he can make from what gave him the identity. Are you with me? This is the basis all of us need to do. When I figured out this, I started being deliberate with one thing: my relationship with people only. And I can tell you how to do it. It's hard if you're starting, but you can consistently build a muscle to do it. This is how you build the best relationship that can set you up financially. Find ways and means to do for people what they cannot pay for. Did you hear what I said? Find what? Ways and means to do for people what they cannot pay for. How many of you know that it's possible in the next 5 years, almost everybody in this room can give Saco $5 million naira and don't think about it? Hello? Did you hear what I said? How many of you know that? Don't confuse yourself with this idea of free. Hey, this event is free. Who told you? Huh? If he tells you to pay now, you'll be begging him for 5K. He's patient. He will come and pay 5 million nicely with a beg. Because most of you will receive value today that will make you have 5 million to give the same way you can give 10K, same way you can give 5K. Does that make sense? So, this is what I want to do. Sorry, can I get that page here? I want to show you something for those who want to significantly start building their wealth. But before I do that, can I ask something? How many of you here have your personal goal for your industry? Don't raise your hand if you're not sure, because I can come down to ask you. It is about 10% of the audience. You know what that means? The rest of you will not achieve anything in the industry. Sorry to be harsh. Anything you're looking for is looking for you. If you're not looking for it, it will not look for you. Sako shared something, and I will buttress that again. How many of you have taken a decision of a car you want and love? The color and everything, and you felt special, and then you leave your house the next day, you see 10. How many of you got angry while you're still on the road and changed your mind and go home and left your house, the next day you see the new one? So how do you want to become successful in this industry without knowing where you're going to? You know why they got here? They had clarity from day one. The same with money. How many of you want to earn money this year? Can I see your hand up? Keep it like this. If you know the exact amount you want to earn, keep your hand up. Did you notice the movement of the hand? Did you notice the movement of the hand? So what it means is you will never achieve anything. He's my dad. I walked to him and said, Daddy, my school fees is around 50,000. Did you see what happened? It's an example, but he's laughing. Why? It sounds stupid. Will he answer me? Eh? Around, this is Nigeria. If you stay too long in his presence. So how do you want to achieve financial freedom in terms of numbers, and you don't have a number that you're looking for? That is why if you make money, no matter the amount, you do what? You do what? Okay. If I share 50,000 to everybody here, if you will have it by Monday next week, raise your hand. If I make it 100,000, if you will have it by next week Monday, raise your hand. If I share 500,000, how many people here will have it by Monday next week? About 5%. How many of you notice that the higher the amount I give you, the faster you spend it? Some people wake up their dead problems to solve them. I mean, the problem you will not solve if there was no money. But once money comes, Yes. How many of you have noticed that every time money is coming to you, problem is coming simultaneously? One of the speakers talked about it. He says the power of what? Intention. Because most of us are keeping money away or saving money for rainy days. Correct? So that prayer comes through every time. That's why if you're going to be paid today for any contract, everybody from your village will call you and put in their invoice this weekend. You have been praying for it. That's how life works. So I will share a few things with you. And Sacco is also planning that we'll have opportunity for an intense discussion on this subject. For those who are interested, it will not be for everybody. Mind you, all of us want money, but all of us will not do what is required to earn the money. How many of you know that? So I want to get into specifics about this subject so we'll know where the problem is coming from. The only way to succeed with this is a concept called investment. That's the only way to succeed with this. You have only 24 hours. There's a little you can do within 24 hours. Is that true? Is that true? Until you find ways and means to allow this multiply without your participation, nothing will change. So when you're in the rave of the moment, you can buy yourself freedom perpetually, even when you're out of the rave. Are you with me? So here's the problem. If you're here and you heard the word investment in your house growing up as a child, raise your hand. Be honest. I want you to look around and say the number. The rest of us never heard that word. Is that correct? Is that correct? So the programming of investment is not in our DNA. Is that true? So every time you hear the word investment, what comes to your mind? Fear. Is that not true? Fear. Because I'll tell you why you receive fear. Two of us have computers, and I have Microsoft Word 2022. He has Microsoft Word 2000. If I send a document to him, what would the document read? Error. Does it mean that the document is bad? If you upgrade that software to 2020, would the same document open? Yes. So people have not found freedom with this because they don't know what to do with this. Because what they need to do with this is lacking, and the only thing they have is what? Fear. Now the problem is there are two ways to act despite your fear. One is knowledge. True? Is knowledge about money in abundance? No. And nobody is interested. But what is in abundance that make people act perpetually every time is the second one, is greed. And most of us have it in abundance, me inclusive. If I show you two opportunities, one pays 3% per month, the other one pays 33% per month, which one will you take? Nobody asks questions. But if you have enough knowledge, the first question you ask is, can I really pay some other person 33%, let alone him paying me? Does that make sense? So the challenge is we don't know and have this concept about investment. So I'll tell you a bit about it in a bit. But I want to achieve two things. What are the two most dominant concepts all of us here know about money? Most said one. I heard that in passing. Most said expense. Okay, you said savings. Huh? Okay, you mentioned expenses, you mentioned savings. Those are the two dominant words and concepts most of us have about money. Correct? Correct? Good. How many of you know that those two concepts are negative? One person. How many of you know that savings and expenses are negative behavior about money? How many of you know? Okay, so let me tell you what it is. We all agree that expenses is negative, correct? Correct? For savings, if you know any currency in the world that the rate of interest they pay you for saving it is higher than inflation, raise your hand. Any currency? So anybody whose strategy for creating wealth financially is savings will get broke over time. That is why poverty will persist. You don't like that, the way I said it. The inflation rate on Naira is 19%, correct? 18 point something. That's the inflation rate on Naira, correct? What is the interest they pay you for saving Naira? It's 3%. So legally and legitimately, you will lose 16%. The challenge is you don't understand it because you don't have the experience. So two examples, a very simple example I gave. I want you to buy something worth 50,000 today and then put 50,000 in the bank. April 2023, we're going to bring out the 50,000 from the bank to come and buy the same thing. Many of you know you will not buy it. You've not done this process, so everybody's in a hurry, we'll make money, the money is even going, we don't even know. Does that make sense? We're talking money now. If you don't understand what I said, you forget about creating wealth. You're not included. I don't care how many shows you do. I don't really care. One day you'll be tired of these shows and all the money that you've made would have disappeared. I don't want that to happen to you. So when we have opportunities like this, and all of you here are creating content, is that correct? That means these are smart people. I'm saying let us also start learning about money deliberately. They talk about cryptocurrency, they talk about blockchain, you freak out. Dubai signed a law for blockchain and cryptocurrency, and in 48 hours, Joe Biden signed an executive order on blockchain and cryptocurrency, the type that have not been signed in 100 years. You say you're not interested. It's a problem. So this is where we will start. I've asked the first question about investment. The answer was 5%. I've asked the second question about the fact that savings is a negative culture about money. That's why most people will be perpetually broke. But as people who are in industry where the value is coming from you, let me give you something. Please, I want that slide there. Let me give you something. The money you're earning for showing up on stage is not your money. Sako, they didn't like that, the way they looked at me. The money you're making for climbing this stage is what? Not your money. He made a serious value proposition. It's what they give you in exchange for time. If you're home, will you do MC? Eh? If you're in your house, will you do MC? On Zoom. But there is time. If you're under your blanket and don't show up for that Zoom, will they pay you money? Will they pay you money? No. So it's what they give you in exchange for labor. And so a percentage of it must participate in something that pays you money without your participation. How many of you bought books today? Sir, did you write that book this morning? Did you get anything from that? Eh? If it doesn't show up for any MC, anything, will that book sell? So you have to be careful what you do with your cash flow and the resources that you have. And so if you look at that slide, you will see something interesting. This is the division of how the world works. And if you notice, 5% of the wealth is for employees and self-employed. The activity you do is a self-employed activity because you show up. Does that make sense? If you don't start building a system around it, and taking a percentage of that money and to become an investor, you're out of the game, because the resources of this world will always go back. 95% of it will always go back this way. Are you with me? Are you with me? Now let me tell you something that all of you here need to start doing. Since saving, which we thought was positive, was bad, expenses is bad on its own already, correct? If you're here and you know how much you spend in a month, raise your hand. See, this one is 1%. Is if we don't solve this problem, my telling you about finance will not take us anywhere. Why should I show you opportunities or how to invest or what to do with money when what I want to feel is a leaking basket? Because you don't know your expenses. If I give you $1 million, it will not last you for a month. It's the only thing I know that goes up. It doesn't come down. I don't know how it happens. Because village people will never stop coming. Today, the world is run, finance is run by the Jewish people. Correct? Huh? They have a simple principle: multiply money 7 times before you spend it. And then they pay you for a show today, 500,000, you lodge in a hotel for the weekend. The money will remain 120K. You see, poverty and wealth is a behavioral thing. So you behave yourself into it. If you want to come out, you have to behave yourself out. You can't run this vicious circle and say you'll become wealthy. No. Tell yourself that your active time of doing what you're doing now is 10 years. And that in 10 years, you want to generate more than what you're earning every month from participating in shows, from your investment without showing up. You become disciplined today. There's a place I want you all to get to. And I want you to think about it for 30 seconds. If you know how the money you will use in April or May is going to come, and your physical participation is not involved, how many of you know you can't get angry? Nobody can annoy you. Correct? No, nobody can annoy you. It's not possible. So I'm going to help you with a few things as I round up. First, I'm not a motivational speaker. Are you with me? So my time is fast running up, but I will round up with these 4 points. And I want us to start practicing. My good friend here will reach you guys for those who are interested in our sections. Because we'll talk money. I don't know how many of you like that subject. Very seriously. And so we'll arrange something more detailed. But I want to give you something you can start working on today. So this is my phone. Can you see it? Can you see it? So the amount of money I want to earn this year is in front of my phone. Can you see it? How many of you know how many times I say this in a day? Okay. Yes, don't be afraid to call it. It's $5 million. Because it's laws. They don't fail. Once you understand it, you can use it. Gravity, you go down, correct? Correct? But if you understand gravity, you have an airplane that will carry 300 people and go the other direction and doesn't come down. It's the same principle. It's understanding and application. So I want you to go home today and set a financial goal for yourself. The second one is I want you to do something before we get into details, which is I need you to know your expenses. I need you to do what? Know your what? It's simple. All of us have these phones, correct? So you can either download Cashbook from Play Store, or you download Evernote, or you use your notes. But the other two are better because it will be tied to your email address, so you never get to lose them. So if you look at my phone, you always see months, and you see the expenses. I sent somebody to buy me Sprite. I gave 500. 500 has been written in miscellaneous. Hello? Hello? Is 500 naira small? Yes. You know why I wrote it? I want to track my foolishness. It's not about you, it's me. Financial salvation is the same thing as spiritual salvation. It's per head. Nobody's coming to save you. Everybody's busy with their own. If you do, I have a set of people I'm mentoring. The first time you start tracking your expenses, by the middle of the month, you will freak out. Sako is saying print account details for 6 months. You will die. 2 weeks. If you have a figure of how much has passed through your hands, you will weep. The only reason you don't know is that you didn't record it. So you don't know. So if I give you 1,000, you spend. I give you 100, you spend. I give you 1 million, you spend. But when you write it down, for me, for example, I write down, I see 70,000 recharge card. The next month, I will do WhatsApp call. If you don't want to answer, forget about it. I can only do that because I have a data. Have they paid anybody? It's not designed to work that way. And I want you to become deliberate with what you're doing. Set a financial goal. Number 2, I want you to track the expenses. Guys, you people are making money. See, this is my guy now. He shows up 1.3 million. That's big money. You don't know. You don't know. All of you are making money. So what we're saying is that you need to become educated in what is available now. To take a percentage of what you're earning to start putting in different things. To start putting in what? Until the profit that is generated by where you sent your money is greater and equal to your expenses. Until you get to that point, you are not an investor. Should I repeat myself? You need to start putting monies away until the profit that comes from where you put those different monies is greater or equal to your expenses. That's when you become an investor. And this is how you start. Anytime money comes into your hand, sorry, I'm using it as plenty example, right? This is what I want you to do, starting today. Any money that I paid you for what you're currently doing, please take away 20 to 30% immediately. And put it in an account with your mentor or somebody that you can't go to beg. For those of you working with, he has his own group he's working with, he has his own group he's working with, correct? I want you to take that money and do a joint account and put his name and put his name. You know what I want? First of all, you say, I will put it, I don't have ATM. And one day you walk into the bank, tiptoeing as if somebody is watching you, and you go and collect it. But if it's in an account where somebody has to countersign, will you do that? No. I want you to do this for 3 months. And then you find out that the money you earn in a month, you have it 100% and your world has not come to an end. And then break that money in bits of 5% and spread them into 20 places. If you do this for 25 months, I don't care how much you earn in a month, you will replace it. After 24 months. And then you become free. How many of you notice that there's freedom that comes with money? Eh? Good. It's amazing. Everybody needs to achieve that. That is when your talent will show up 100% because you're not cash driven, you're you driven. And that is even when these talents that you have will even pay way, way, way much money. Thank you very much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we celebrate Amarachi Ugoji? I told you.
Thank you, sir.
But sincerely, were you provoked at all about your finances? I'll take one question. We're going to do the talent hunt as swift as possible. We'll just maximize. Later before 12 a.m. we should be out of this place. Do we have questions? Do we have question? One question? Okay, Ayodeji. Yes, quickly. Question. Tell us your name. Okay.
All right, my name is Ayo. Sir, so you said a lot about investments, practical steps, right?
Yes.
I usually believe that Bruce has already told me a couple of investments that I needed to do in the past. So I want to know practical steps. What things can I invest in that can bring me returns starting from today, as opposed to saving? Because, I thought saving was, premium. So I'll put money away, but the value of the currency will keep dropping every single time, and then it means that my savings will keep going down. So I need to know what things can I invest in, practical steps. If I can get about 5, I go ahead, study them, and then decide which one to go with.
Okay. All right, thank you. So,
Thank you.
this is what I'll tell you. Because of time, what we want to do is to provoke this community. My friend here will be able to arrange a time when those who are interested in the how-tos, what to, we will be able to have a section, because if I give you an idea now, that idea will be half-cast, for example, and it will not serve you. We're not doing this, we're doing this really to create a community of wealthy people who know the process that they use to create the wealth and want to be detailed about it. So I've already spoken with him about this, and so for those who are interested, please, you can always reach him, and then we'll look at a time that works for everybody to have this conversation. Why we need to do that is so that we hold each other's hand and hold each other accountable to go through the process to have that new behavior. People have had ideas, but it doesn't create result for them, because you do it today, tomorrow you will not do it, right? But if you become consistent because you're doing it in a community, it provides opportunity, one, for you to learn, two, for you to see the result, leveraging somebody who have done it before, and then empowers you to help other people. So I don't want to be haphazard in the answer I give, but let me allow Sako to speak on that. So
Okay, so you made a statement while we had a meeting. You said, for every money you even put in savings, no matter how much is there, if God forbid anything happens to that bank, how much is everyone entitled to? You know, when we save and you know insurance, you know that your money is insured. How much is that? Please tell me. Let's. So no, you told me. So, yes. No, that Baba, I need them to hear.
how many of you have ever read the details when you open a bank account on that paper? How many of you have read it?
Terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions. You just click I agree, right? Yes. No matter what happens, if they are going to pay, NDIC will give you 500,000.
No matter the amount.
You can go tomorrow and ask your banker. I mean, it's not a hidden information.
You don't understand. Do you understand that if there is 1 billion in someone's account,
Yes.
and the bank
Yes.
it goes down, what CBN will give the person is 500,000.
But so far, they've not given to anybody. Savannah Bank, all of them. It's not designed to.
I'm telling you.
No, tomorrow go to your bank and find out. I mean, it's. This is the point. This is the point. No, you know why we share this? You know why we share this? Huh? You know why we share this? Huh? Like I said, financial liberation is as important as spiritual liberation. Nobody has a plan for you. So you have to become educated about it and know exactly how it works in order to save your own self. That's what it is. And so we're in on the education to build a community of people who have money and they know exactly how they created it. So Mr. Sako will put something up together for everybody who is interested.
Thank you so much. Can we please put a hand for Mr. Amarachi? Can we celebrate it, please? Thank you. Let's appreciate MCD in the house. Can we celebrate MCD? All right.